All right, this is going to be a fun little workout. We are going to do a turn clinic today. Now, I'm going to break this video down into 3 parts just due to how long it's taking me to get through all the content. It is quite technical, so there's quite a bit to look at, which is kind of fun. So I'm going to show some videos of what it should look like, what you're doing. And we'll basically do one video where we look at the push-off, which we'll start with today. Then we'll talk about the open turn, which would be a turn that is more used for breaststroke and butterfly in swimming. However, it can be modified for freestyle, even backstroke more or less. And then we will go into our flip turns or tumble turns, and obviously that is going to be the hardest one. Every year, everyone goes, I'm going to do flip turns this year. I'm going to get better at it. And, a couple of you follow through and do it. The reality behind all of this is it just takes practice. You just have to do it. Every time you leave the wall, every time you hit a wall, do the proper push-off, do a proper turn, and then you'll actually get better. Here's to hoping. This is the year. So looking at the open or the push, first, which again is pretty much half of your turn. If you can get to the wall, whether it be to by an open turn or a flip turn, you pretty much end up in this position. So this is your starting position. This is typically how you should be starting every time you leave for an interval. Now, I'm gonna say I'm bad sometimes too, and I just push off on my front. But I'm gonna show you why this will make you go faster and is more efficient. Plus, like I already mentioned, you can practice half your turn every time if you do this well. And most of you do this terrible, like really, really bad. Just to be honest. You'll see it in a sec. So in this position here, I have one hand on the wall. I'm in this nice seated position. My toes are pointed upwards or anywhere from upwards to sideways. You're going to see them shift more sideways as I get ready to push off in this little demo. And this is where I'm comfortably sitting, waiting for my turn to go, watching the pace clock. Now, when it is my turn to go, the first thing... I should say there's a couple things that happen together. The first thing, though, that happens together is I'm sinking down in the water and getting into my streamline position. So, hand is leaving the wall as I sink. The arm below is coming up. The arm above. This is really important movement. The arm above to get to streamline should come back behind the head, or like you're running your hand through your hair. If you are coming in front of your head, that will rotate your body onto your front, like you're gonna see a lot in the next couple videos of you. And we don't wanna roll onto our front. We wanna at least be on our side, if not on our side back. So really important, run that hand back behind as you're getting to streamline. So sinking, slowly getting to streamline. Now, the idea is we want to be in this tight streamline before we leave the wall, really before we hit that maximum force application, because we want to be creating as much or as little frontal drag as possible so we can shoot through the water as quick as we can. We also want to make sure we sink, because as soon as we break the surface tension, or our body breaks the surface of the water, that drag coefficient goes up substantially. So we are a lot faster underneath the water, which is one of the reasons why backstrokers used to win races by just doing underwater dolphin kick, and they had to create a rule to say, you have to actually come up to the surface. So we want to sink to not break the surface tension. We want to get into streamline, so that we are as efficient as possible when we're ready to actually provide maximum force. And again, we want everything tight, squeezing our ears with our biceps. Our head is hiding between our arms, which you're gonna see in a sec. And then as we leave the wall, again, we're on our side, if not side, maybe even a little more on our back. We are holding a nice line as we slowly rotate onto the front. Now, as you rotate, you can use your feet, as you can see them just slightly cantered. That helps me rotate without anything else. And I can keep everything else super tight. So hand over hand, minimal exposure, nice line, squeeze in the ears, head is hiding, right down to the toes being pointed. You have no idea how many of you push off and flex your feet like you want to go slower. It's crazy. So point your toes. And that is going to be how you leave the wall the fastest. Now at the end, we'll talk about breakouts, taking that into dolphin kick, flutter kick, and then getting the arms going. But let's just look at some of your strokes or your push-offs, and some of these mistakes that I just highlighted so you can see whether you're making them or not. From the front. Again, sinking down, getting into streamline. This is just to show how little exposure you want from that front to minimize that frontal drag. From the top, this is kind of what it looks like, hanging out, watching the pace clock. Again, sinking down, getting into streamline. That's all I should see from the surface of the water. So looking at Alex here, as you can see, rotating onto the front, which again, most of you do, front pushes. But the biggest issue with Alex's push off is she's right at the surface. So breaking that surface tension basically never sinks. Now, some body compositions lend themselves to sink down in the water easier than others. That being said, I can guarantee you if you just pop up, use gravity a little bit to sink you down initially, even push off just slightly downward, that should hold you below the surface and then allow the buoyancy and the kick and everything else to bring you back up. So, surface tension. Looking at Ben here, we're looking at head position. So we could bring that head down just a little bit. You can see the frontal drag created just because the head is up a little bit. So if we can get those arms up, I have no doubt probably could squeeze a little more as well, but I would see that more from the front view. Derek's head position a lot better, but look at the hands. The fingertips are pointed up for some reason. And actually from the front, the issue really is, you have to tell me what this is, Derek. You're delicately holding your thumb. So no Supermans, none of these. We want hand over hand, hand sandwich, really tight. If you need, you can use the thumbs to kind of lock around a little bit, but that is our optimal hand over hand streamline position. So this is not as effective as it could be. Looking at Dustin here, we go the opposite direction. So head down almost a little too much. So good shoulder, cervical spine mobility. We could probably slide the head up just a little bit and hide it between the arms, and that would be just a little more effective. I see swimmers, because you have so much mobility in the shoulders. That's impressive, Dustin, with your shoulder injuries. So it isn't uncommon to see this, but I'd probably hide it just a little bit. That would be better than head up, though. Pat is, we're back to head up, and I wish I had a front on. I must have deleted that one. So really the squeeze. So Pat's kind of here, so we can get a little tighter. And again, getting that head down just a little bit would help as well. And that's kind of in the swimming overall. Head position for Jerry here, really good, but again, it's the hands. So if we can just change that pitch of the wrist and get them just in line, that would go a long way. Like we can see the palms here from front on, almost like you're trying to put the brakes on there, where we can just, very small, probably not aware you're doing it. Lukey looks really good. So again, this is the, everything in line, piercing through the water, head hidden. So Luke's done a lot of work on his turns, and it's paying off. So well done. Even flip turns, bud. They're starting to look really good, which we'll see in future videos. Pam, this was a surface push, what it looks like from the surface. So you can see just the drag. Leave that water behind. You don't need it. Again, sink down. Pam does that on the flip turns, but again, you can see how much drag that's created there. So when we look at the breakout, the whole idea is we want to carry as much speed off the wall as possible. When we push off the wall, when our feet leave the wall, that's essentially the fastest, I shouldn't say essentially, that is the fastest, as long as you don't miss the wall, the fastest you're ever traveling within that 25 meters or whatever distance you're swimming. So as soon as your feet leave the wall, you are decelerating, which the goal is let's maintain our velocity the best that we can. So as soon as we leave the wall, we want to get into a little bit of a kick. Now, ideally, if we have dolphin kick, or if you can do dolphin kick, we're going to transition to that one first, which will hopefully get a little bit more powerful as you feel that deceleration happening. Then you'll transition into flutter kick right before you break the surface of the water, breaking that surface tension, but then you're into your arm pulls and away you go off to the races. So that's what is called a breakout. If you don't have a dolphin kick, you can just glide just a little bit longer and transition into flutter kick, and you're probably going to want to surface just a little sooner than if you were rocking out some dolphin kicks. So just looking at this one here, starting my push, I'm right into dolphin kick. Now, the one thing I don't like about this dolphin kick that I'm doing here is I have my upper body kind of involved. I want to eliminate that as much as possible. So I really want to spear the water with the upper body and just have the hips and the legs going. So a little too much motion to my liking, but that's me being picky on my stroke a number of years ago, which, you know, it looks way better now. So dolphin kicking into flutter kick. I'm still below the surface. And then, bam, I'm breaking out of the water, hopefully carrying that speed off the wall. So that is going to be our end goal in terms of the push. But like I said, this is half the equation to any turn. Really, all you need to do is get your feet to the wall and you're going to be in a very similar position. So this will be one of the areas we practice today or in this workout. And then we will be able to take those skills, put them into open turns, and then put them into our flip turns. So that'll be the next video, looking at open turns and breaking those ones down, because they kind of need a little bit of work too. See you in the next workout.